Welcome to another exciting episode of our brand new podcast titled Two Men in Black and White, an honest conversation. I'm joined by my co-host and partner in crime, Brock Ellis, my old point guard, the uptown point guard from New York City. He's about 40 miles north of New York in New York City in Rhinebeck. I'm located in ATL, Shouty, the dirty, dirty South. I'm Mark Hayes, Purple Hayes for short, and I am going to be guiding you through this next, let's say, 30 minutes of mayhem and madness. And Brock, we're starting it off tomorrow is the 28th of February, and we've got an economic blackout plan. So, all right, the resistance is underway, but it's already been underway kind of with the Target blackout. I mean, the Target economic boycott has really hit them hard.
Yeah, I think that it's a great place to start. I mean, some of us have been boycotting selective companies now for several months at least, if not years, right? Whether it be not turning on CNN since the election or MSNBC. Certainly Tesla's been an easy one to avoid unless you're buying a car, but like if you're stuck with one, you're sort of screwed. You got people selling their Teslas. But I get to other companies. Target obviously has become, you know, a target of this
Yeah.
the type of movement. But getting a large group of people together on one day to not spend except locally, will it move the needle? Will companies notice, or will they just feel like, oh, we have to ride this out and we'll be fine on March 1st and none will comment or say a word on it? I'm curious to see the power of the collective action and
Mhm.
and how many people really tune in and and sort of play the game, play the boycott game. What do you
Right. So the
what do
big
you think? What
question,
do you think from the is the black community you think in lockstep on this?
I think so. I think we are angry enough right now in this day and time, especially after uh, the media purge. All the people of color blown out at MSNBC, which was basically, the network kowtowing to Trump's demands. Either they're just trying to stay out of his way or they don't want to hurt his feelings. So I think the ripple effect of that and corporations saying, yeah, we don't want black folks around. Okay. We spend a lot of money. Black folks are a big spending community, and Target has had a strategy over the last 10 years that was focused on the African American consumer, bringing them in, getting small businesses and entrepreneurs to bring their products to Target. They kind of had an incubator there for them to sell their products, but that was all part of the plan to get black folks to come spend their money at Target. Well, if they come in here for these hair products, maybe they'll stay and go over to the grocery aisle where things are a little bit more expensive, where there are no coupons, right? And so they can hopefully, get you to do more shopping in their stores. Target ain't slick. We hip to the game. We like BoJack, baby. We know what's going on out here. Folks are paying attention, and folks are really starting to get annoyed. The other ripple effect is from the fact that we still see African American men getting locked up, getting these long prison sentences, and now Andrew Tate is getting help from Trump, one guy who's already gotten off from 34 felony counts, and whatever happened to those fines that the court issued for his being adjudicated a rapist and for the fraud in the state of New York, right? Like, how are you getting away with that? The black folks ain't getting away with nothing, with nothing. So, I think, now let's take a look at a little revisionist history here. The Montgomery bus boycott started as a 1 day thing. Let's not ride the bus today, right? And then it went to 5 days. And then it was like, oh, well, let's try 2 weeks. And then it ended up being what, 381 days, right? And then the city of Montgomery really started to feel it. So maybe this is just the beginning. maybe we're just now starting because remember, you know, white folks are being affected by this too. And they've got much bigger wallets than the African American community when it comes to um, those dollars, expendable dollars that they can spend, but now they may want to hold on to them because they're losing their jobs, just like the rest of the folks. Now, some of the red states are really feeling the pinch. So I'd love to see the breakdown of, how some of these massive, federal cuts are impacting communities in red states, because those people are really feeling it. And those are the people we're hearing from. They've been very boisterous.
Mhm. And they're embedded MAGA, right? They're deep MAGA, right? They're on for everything. They're on for the Tea Party, everything. You can give them any excuse to be able to vote their racism, and they're on board, right, for a good
Oh,
100 years. I am interested to see. You tell me the black community's really on board for this boycott tomorrow. I mean, it's obviously an easy one for white people. It's just easy to not spend at certain places. Doesn't you can do it from the seat of your kitchen, and you don't have doesn't require too much inconvenience out of your life. So I feel like the blue sky type community will be involved. I don't know if how broad it's going to get on the
right.
white community side of the ledger. I'm curious. I'm hopeful. But I really hope, like, but Montgomery, in the with the bus, you needed to get somewhere, right? It's an
Right.
essential. That's a harder boycott versus, oh, I
Yes.
don't need to go to Target. I'll go to a different store in the mall. Or, maybe I'm not going to McDonald's,
Right.
in a different fast food. Once you change your behavior, you kind of convince yourself it's easy to do. Like, I find the boycott easy. I'm really curious to see how many people actually don't order from Amazon and/or start and then take that next step and start canceling those Prime the Amazon Prime, which is their cash cow.
There you go.
Um, it
Yeah.
shouldn't be that hard. It should be for democracy and for saving the country and for making a statement and
Right.
trying to influence some change. This should be the simplest thing in the world for people to do. Yet we go into tomorrow, and I'm
And we're
still
wondering, we're wondering,
hopeful, but not
right.
confident, not confident that we're going to see follow through.
Well, and that's the thing that scares me. It's like because where do you hit these folks? Um, this is the a grassroots movement, the People's Union here in Atlanta. We have one of the biggest church pastors. I tell you, go to a black church if you want to know what's going on in the black community. They'll tell you. Jamal Bryant, he was quick to clap back at the Black MAGA folks who convened at the White House. I believe I sent you that clip. And, they were holding his face up saying, "We're coming after you." Well, he's got one of the biggest churches. He's got a mega church in right outside Atlanta. And he is part of this movement. And he is also part of the Target boycott. And,
Mhm.
he's really been active. So, as we look toward leadership, right, we're looking in our communities, right? And we're seeing Jamal Bryant out front, um, being loud, being proud, um, talking to the community because we need to hear what he's saying. And we need to hear somebody who comes up with a plan. I saw a spirited debate this morning on Roland Martin's show, and they talked about that very thing with the bus boycott. And one of the panelists was saying, "Nah, one day is not going to get it, but you got to start somewhere."
Yeah,
And that
guys.
was
Yeah.
and that was Roland's retort. Was Roland said, "Hey, we got to start somewhere. We got to get everybody involved." So the millennial on the panel thought that, we didn't really come up during that time. We're not really sure how to get involved. And wow, she was met with a whole lot of bluster because people were really upset. Hold it, you were born in the 80s. You saw George Floyd. You saw right here the Douglasville Six. You saw the young man that was shot at Wendy's here in Atlanta. We've had a lot of
Yeah.
Trayvon Martin. We've had a lot.
Armand
I mean,
Arbery, Armand Arbery, right? Can't go for a jog.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of issues that millennials, have been a part of already. So I don't buy that line that they're not sure how to get involved. I mean, this is easy. This is go out and get your groceries for tomorrow, tonight,
Mhm.
right? If
Yeah,
your
it's an
fridge
easy
ain't
one.
stocked, yeah, if your
But
fridge ain't stocked,
But it
yeah,
is a place to start. I don't. We'll see if the companies say anything about it. If it has a ripple effect, of course, most companies don't have to report. Reporting quarterly, so they got like, in essence, the quarter ends in another month for most of them. Then they got another 45 or so days before they have to, talk the numbers, so they won't have to, sort of admit to anything. But hopefully, some of them, show. We're trying to instill fear, right? We're trying to
right,
still instill more fear in the customer than fear in Donald Trump, because that's sort of the game. Either you're more afraid of the citizens of America, or you're more afraid of Trump and his crew of Nazis, including Musk. And that's
right,
the game. And right now, corporate America clearly is 20 times more afraid of Trump than they are of the people. And
absolutely.
that's the fault of the people. We haven't struck any fear in anyone.
Right, right. And we haven't shut anything down. So
Yeah.
we can start tomorrow, by not spending a dime anywhere, on anything. You can sit home and you can sit there and watch Netflix. Haven't heard Netflix coming out and getting rid of their DEI initiatives. So, you don't really have to go, right? You don't have to spend any money. There's no there, unless you've got a newborn and something arises, whatever it is can wait,
Yeah,
right?
I hope there's a story. I hope there's like a cameras at Target and there's just nobody there and it's an empty
Right,
parking lot, right? That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping it's the absence of activity is a story, and it gives people confidence that they do have this power, because no
yeah.
one feels it individually. Individually, it's easy to feel powerless, but when you do something collectively and you see an impact, it drives this confidence, and it's sort of like voting, right? You
Yep.
know, and
And
and the like. So I'm really hopeful. I'm excited. I hope there's coverage. I hope there's companies that are worried that this one day boycott leads puts them in a position where they have to revisit some of the things that they're doing to woo customers back. That
right.
they feel that they've lost.
But Brock, how about this? I have a dream. I have a dream that movements like this will bring us together. A unified movement against MAGA to beat it down once and for all. Black, white, purple,
Yeah.
green, yellow. I we all need to come together because we're all gonna pay the price or are already.
This is an easy one for white and black people to join hands in, because you're not even actively out there interacting in a human way, right?
Right,
We all just have to sit on our asses and
right,
not do something, right? And we're on the same team, and we'll actually feel like we did a collective action together, right? It's a nice baby step, right, of
right,
social and
right.
race
And
relations.
because
So
remember too, Brian,
we'll see if we can pull it
remember,
off.
yeah, remember now, communities of affluence are being hit by this. People who making 125, $150,000 a year jobs with the government, are being told they're wasteful. They're not needed. They don't do anything. Let's get you out of
Mhm.
here. Tell me what you did last week. What? These are people, the CDC. There aren't a lot of pay by the hour jobs at the CDC, right? You got to come in there with some talent. And our government pays you for that talent to keep us all healthy
And
and
more,
to
yeah,
keep us
and more
safe.
cuts are supposedly, the cuts are accelerating, man. Of course, unemployment claims was up this week, right? That's still just a weekly number. We haven't seen like the monthly yet, but how is unemployment not well, well, not rising in America? I mean, it has to be. The corporate America is not soaking these people up right away. Like there's, economic
Well,
growth
Brock,
is flatlined at best. We may be going into a recession. So now there's going to be federal workers and private sector workers both out of work. So the only good news of that is maybe inflation would cool a little bit because people don't have the money to spend. Like that's as if that's good
yep,
news. But people out of work
right.
have time on their hands to get angry and pissed off, and it probably helps, protest movements.
Hello. And think about it, bro. Where do we normally get those jobs numbers and those job reports? The media, right? Is the media asleep at the wheel?
If you can
The media
trust,
not
if you can trust them, we'll have to see the no, actually the figures themselves will come from government sources.
right,
So, there's gonna we'll see if we get real data, and then that can be a secondary argument whether we're ever going to get real data from the Trump administration.
right,
But that rubber will meet the road pretty quickly here with like a February unemployment number,
right.
which
Well, you know what?
after Biden's 4 years of growth, all of a sudden it's going to be the wrong direction.
Right. And, JP Morgan Chase and the heads of these Fortune 500 companies and these banks, they're not going to be cooking their books. They have actual shareholders that they've got to answer to, and they can't just make it up
Yeah,
as
they
they go.
can't. Yeah, they can't F around. The government
So
can because
they're not
there's
going to
no
be
right.
making stuff up. Right. And so, sooner or later, like you said, the rubber's going to hit the road. Right. And Trump and his cronies are trying to keep us distracted, like the stupid video of AI that he posted from the Gaza, uh,
Yeah, yeah,
Trump Gaza. Come on with the silliness, dude. You look like a buffoon. All right.
yeah.
So just cut it out.
But
Just
that's
cut
good.
it out.
That's good for those voters in Dearborn. That gives them something just to remind them that their whole pro Gaza stance, and we have to go with Trump over Kamala. And now, Trump is just basically mocking them, which is in essence a graveyard, right? Mocking them that he's just going to pave over it, make a parking lot, and some golf
Right.
courses, and like,
Right.
their idea of a homeland and two-state solution is like it's a one state of Israel. And, I joke, it's like the two golf course solution, right?
Yeah.
So
And and
anyway,
and a giant resort.
yeah, what a
Yeah,
absurd,
complete with bed bugs like the one in Florida. That
absurd,
just
absurd.
a, so also
Speaking of the
speaking of his
CDC, speaking of the CDC,
and the ridiculous, they canceled that meeting. Apparently, a memo went out for the big doctors meeting and the conference that was coming up. So RFK got. So we're not really concerned about the measles outbreak, I guess, and the fact that we haven't had a death in what with measles in a decade. Now we've got this outbreak in West Texas, and it's no big deal, according to that little cabinet meeting that was run by Leon yesterday. So, I mean, Robert Kennedy's answer, first of all, I could hardly hear him. I mean, when the guy talks, he doesn't instill any level of confidence
confidence.
and assuredness. I mean, you get nothing from him. So, I mean, we can't thank Jenny McCarthy enough. Now we got RFK to pile on top of that. Maybe they should link up as a couple because they wouldn't have to worry about vaccinating their kids. But, you know, like, what is going on that we're so anti-science, Brock? Vaccinations work. Why do they think this stuff is not around? Why do people think that stuff is gone and
What?
had been taken out of our dialect for so long?
So there's no real strategy to slow down the current outbreak, right? I think it's two deaths now. I just saw it's hopped to a new state pretty far away. Was it Ohio or somewhere like moving now towards the mid east out of West Texas and
Ah,
New Mexico? So, either there's going to be a push and a scramble to get the unvaccinated vaccinated, which of course is not going to happen because we have the RFK is not going to be a proponent of that. So are we just going to cure all these cases? Do they just run their course? How does it stop? How does the spread stop? I mean, or does it just go like bird flu and it's just going to work its way throughout the country and a lot of people are going to die and we're not going to let the scientists talk to the populace. And this is just now, let's start counting cases and deaths like we're playing a COVID game where we're just counting cases and deaths, except that we're not getting reliable information from anyone. I mean, is that how it plays out?
I, I I mean, how else can it play out? I mean, this anti-science push is so big right now. I mean, just a child who wasn't vaccinated, measles outbreak, you know, highly contagious, but preventable, right here in the first paragraph on the Associated Press, right? And then RFK goes on to misstate facts, right? So they're making it up as they go along. He's just saying whatever comes out of his worm-eaten brain. And, now we've got kids and families devastated by measles,
How are
which all
how
you
are how are vaccination rates in the Black community? Because I know there's been historically some uh maybe reticence or some skepticism relative to vaccines, and I think these cases in Texas broke out in a very white community, right? A very
rural,
religious
yeah.
what is it, Mennonite, that's where it started. But where's that?
So, in the Black community, I can't recall having a conversation about it, until recently, until the whole anti-vax movement started. It was never an issue in my home, wasn't an issue for my wife and myself, wasn't an issue for her growing up.
Yeah, yeah.
She grew
Okay.
up in Metro New York City. So I've never had a conversation about it with my contemporaries because it's never been an issue. Like we've
Because
always
you just
thought,
figured everyone, because it's sort of everyone was getting vaccinated, right? It was a real outlier. Whenever there was someone who wasn't getting vaccinated, it was like such a, one in a million ish, right? You just everyone just had their vaccinations. You couldn't go to school without it, right? Like you just knocked them out. It was just a part of life and rarely questioned or talked about. It wasn't a topic worth discussing. It was just something everyone did.
right, and it made sense, right? Like even colleges would ask for your vaccination record. So like it, I mean, to me, it just, I don't understand, and we watch COVID. I saw Dr. Hotez, remember the COVID doctor who,
Yeah, yeah,
gained notoriety through the COVID experience. I mean, that guy has written the book on infectious diseases, several of them. And he said roughly 30 to 40,000 Texans died because they wouldn't get the vaccine. 30 to 40,000, that's a small city. Right? I mean, and then if we do the math around the country, there was so many people that needlessly died. Even remember the MAGA folks that were going to the rally still, oh, they're no, it's all the hoax, and they were dying. The Godfather's Pizza, you know, sat there in Oklahoma City and ended up passing away a short time after that Trump rally.
yeah.
And he died when he and all the black MAGA folks sat up there in the corner at the rally, rah, rah, MAGA, and he was gone. I hope his paperwork was in order. Had his his estate in order because, he died needlessly. You know, it's an I've had this conversation with my son, and I tell you, it's like talking to a rock. They don't want to hear it. This is the way it is. I don't want the vaccine. And he had COVID. He got it through his hockey team. The hockey team went spread through the hockey team like wildfire. They couldn't even practice. And he woke up in a puddle of sweat one morning. And he's like, what is going on? And he said it was like nothing else he'd ever had before. And then, fast forward, 12, 16, 18 months, he doesn't want the second dose of the vaccination. I'm like, are you kidding me? You guys are passing water bottles up and down the bench. You're not going to get the vaccine. You'd rather miss game. Okay, you'd rather miss games than take the vaccination? Come on. It just doesn't make sense to me. And
It's
you
a weird
can't.
argument because after people get sick, almost everyone takes the medication, right? You're in a dire need, right? Like you'll almost take anything handed to you when you're sick, right? You don't question anything anymore. You're just hoping for the
Right.
cure. But in terms of prevention, we've just gotten away from it. I mean, I don't have no idea now where RFK is going to take, like, in essence, health in America. But like the scorecard
Uh,
for a a country and a leading country is actually like the life expectancy, right? Like that's the ultimate scorecard. Do the people live longer and better, or at least longer living in one country versus another? We should have the highest life expectancy in the world if we're the richest country in the world, right? We should have the best healthcare and we should have the highest life expectancy. That's why people should want to come to America as much as anything else. I'm going to live the
Yep.
longest there, the base
Right.
most selfish level. That's why people should want to come here. But it's not reality. right? We kill
Nope.
ourselves here, and now we're mocking science and healthcare, and we put an absolute fool, right? An absolute fool in charge of America's health. And now we have yet again another highly contagious, you know, breakout of a disease. This one happens to be manageable. COVID at least was a surprise, and it took a scramble to come up with a vaccine. This is one that was put to
Mm,
bed years ago.
right,
This is like a national embarrassment.
right,
What's the number, Mark? How many kids have to die before this
right.
works its way into the media and the national consciousness? Two's obviously not enough. It's still a
Yep.
side story. What's the number? 200? 2,000?
I mean, how many kids have to die from gun violence? Oh, we're still counting.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is there a number? Well, I'd be perfectly happy if they came out and just said there is no number. We're just going to keep rocking and rolling. This is the way we do it. Remember, Trump was the one who got rid of Obama's pandemic team.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need that. What is that? That's wasteful. We don't need. And then, oh, we get hit with a pandemic. Isn't that something? Isn't that squirrely? So, it really is, the dumbing down of America through Trump 2.0. We went through it the first go round. Now here we are back again. Let's get rid of the Department of Education. Let's get rid of all the funding for schools and programs to help kids. How are we going to keep up with the rest of the world who puts a premium on early childhood education, right? And the middle grades and the high schools and their colleges, so their kids are prepared to come to the best schools in the United States and become remarkable in their chosen profession. Right? And then we're mad. Then we're mad. Oh, too many Asians are going to Harvard. Like it's why are they
Only
so smart?
only when only when white America feels like their kids are starting to fall behind and not, be as well educated and lose, and like things that happen gradually, Americans tend not to get riled up about. Climate
Yep.
change, right? It happens gradually, so there isn't that seminal moment. Right now, Doji and Trump's 2.0. It's this gradual disintegration of America, and America has not gotten riled up yet.
Right.
Getting back to the measles thing, I guess it has to work its way to the, wealthy suburbs of Dallas or something, not like some Mennonite community out in rural West Texas. And it's got to hit home and hit the kids of the state legislatures and the judges, and right,
Right.
it's got to get into, the rich neighborhood, to maybe have people freak out and say this is total bullshit. We can't have a fool running our healthcare. Our kids are going to die. Our precious
Right.
children, not just kids, our precious children. Still, that might not be enough, right?
Right.
Newtown's affluent community, and no, everyone shrugged their shoulders when that shooting happened. Everyone meaning
Right.
like America at large,
America.
and certainly the political class and the populace didn't do enough to change people out, so nothing happened,
Yeah.
right? No rules, no nothing, no improvement.
I mean, look at Parkland, another affluent community. Look at Fred Gutenberg and all he went through. Look at the kids from Parkland. Right? The kids from Parkland said we're tired of active shooter
Yeah,
drills
yeah.
and watching our friends die and going to our friends' funerals. Right? I mean, make it make sense, bro. And we're
Who's going
supposed
to
to
be,
think,
maybe we'll probably need a spokesman to emerge from this measles outbreak type thing, in the way that there was some women who became the voices of, the, in essence, forced birth, right? The anti-abortion crusade, and made a lot of noise and were helpful to Kamala's campaign, and really were good spokespeople on a very difficult topic. Who's going to talk for these kids? And, at some point, it's the adults are going to have to step up for the kids, and someone's going to have to go challenge RFK, and ultimately challenge Trump to challenge RFK and go, you're killing us. You're literally
right,
killing us. And we can't keep letting you steal all the money while you kill us. You, you
exactly.
stealing all the
And
money hasn't riled us up, but you're going to kill us too at the same time? Both?
insane. Well, Brock, that's a wrap on this episode, man. Did you get it off your chest? I feel good. I'm not
I
gonna lie
feel
to
a
you.
little bit better, but I mean, just watching the rising count of measles is just like it's infuriating, and it's just almost amazing that it's happening, right? It's almost like you couldn't have scripted it, more appropriately for RFK being nominated, approved by the Senate somehow, and then
My doctor.
walks right into a an outbreak in a disease that he doesn't want vaccinations against, that we haven't seen in 100 years or whatever. And then when
The Senate.
people die, he says it's not out of the ordinary. Not out of the
Right,
ordinary. That was his comment.
right.
Not out of the ordinary. Kids are dying of measles. Really?
Happens all the time.
Not in my
Unbelievable, bro.
lifetime. Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
All right, but yeah, we'll look forward. We will have it. Well, tomorrow will be interesting to see how the media follows the boycott, if they do at all. It's
right.
really going to be interesting to see how many people actually take this step back, and whether a message is delivered that has any punch to it.
Absolutely. Let's hope
Can I be
so.
optimistic? Can I be slightly optimistic heading into tomorrow? Okay. All right, I'm
Keep
going to
hope
go in
alive.
optimistic.
Keep hope alive. All right, Brock. We'll see you next time, my friend.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Take care.